Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're going to get into something pretty fundamental in healthcare, but maybe not something you think about every day. Custom procedure packs. CPPs for short.
Right. These are basically pre-assembled sterile kits. They're tailored for specific surgeries, specific procedures.
And they've got everything inside. Instruments, consumables.
Exactly. All the disposables, everything you need, all packed up and sterile, ready to go.
So our mission today is really to, well, get a handle on where this market is right now and where it's heading.
Yeah, we're using the Global Custom Procedure Packs Market Report 2025 as our guide here, looking at what's driving it, what's holding it back, and how things look different around the world.
And the numbers are pretty interesting. The report puts the market at what? USD 700 and 820 million for 2025.
That's the figure. But the projection is where it gets really telling.
Mhm.
It's expected to grow to USD 100 and 378.8 million by 2033.
Okay, and that works out to a CAGR, a compound annual growth rate of 4.80%.
Which basically means it's growing steadily, about 4.8% on average each year, compounding over that time.
That's not insignificant growth. It definitely signals something important is happening in how surgeries are being supplied and managed. So let's unpack what's actually fueling this.
Well, it's really a mix of things. First off, you've got ongoing innovation. Think about the materials, the design of the packs themselves.
Like what specifically?
Things like antimicrobial coatings on instruments inside the pack. It's an extra layer against bacteria beyond just the sterile wrap.
Okay. Smart.
And biodegradable options, too, that taps into the whole sustainability push. Plus, better barrier films for sterility and just, well, user-friendly layouts that help things flow better in the OR.
So little tweaks that add up to big impacts on usability and safety too.
Absolutely. And that links straight into the next big driver. This huge focus on sterility and preventing HAIs, hospital-acquired infections.
Right, HAIs are a massive concern. Costly, dangerous.
Exactly. Everyone's hyper-aware. And CPPs offer a pretty neat solution here. Everything in one sterile package means fewer touch points, less chance for contamination compared to grabbing individual sterile items.
Makes sense. One sterile unit versus maybe 10 separate items being opened and handled.
Precisely. And you've also got, stricter regulations pushing facilities towards these kinds of standardized, high-quality solutions.
Okay, so innovation, the big push for sterility and HAI prevention. What else is feeding into this growth?
Demographics play a part. We've got a growing elderly population globally.
And unfortunately, that often means more surgeries.
It does. So more procedures mean more demand for efficient ways to manage them, like these prepackaged kits.
Right. Need goes up, demand for efficient solutions goes up. Simple as that.
Pretty much. And it's not just the number of surgeries. The whole healthcare sector is growing, and there's this constant pressure to be more efficient, to streamline workflows.
And CPPs fit right into that.
Perfectly. They cut down prep time significantly. Think about the minutes saved before every single operation across a whole hospital. That adds up to a lot of efficiency.
That efficiency angle must be a huge selling point. And the name, custom procedure packs. How important is that customization aspect?
Oh, it's definitely a key factor. Surgeons increasingly want packs tailored exactly to their specific procedure, their preferences. Just the instruments and supplies they need, nothing extra.
Less waste, maybe, and maybe ensures they have exactly what they prefer.
Both. It contributes to potentially better outcomes and definitely cuts down on unused items.
Okay, so we've got innovation, sterility focus, demographics, general healthcare growth, and this demand for tailored solutions all pushing the market forward. But it can't all be smooth sailing. What are the roadblocks, the restraints?
That's a fair point. There are definitely challenges. A big one is just the investment needed up front.
To design and produce these things.
Exactly. Designing bespoke packs, setting up specialized production, getting through all the regulatory hoops, it takes significant investment. And that can make them, potentially more expensive initially than just buying standard stuff in bulk.
Right. Customization adds complexity and cost.
It does. And then there are the regulations themselves, necessary, obviously, for safety. But stringent approval processes can definitely slow down getting new or updated packs onto the market.
Navigating that red tape takes time and money, I imagine.
Absolutely. Another point is cost effectiveness, especially for smaller places.
Smaller hospitals or clinics.
Yeah. For them, maybe with lower surgery volumes, the upfront cost of custom packs might seem higher than just bulk buying standard individual items, even if CPPs are more efficient in use. The economics might look different.
Okay, so the scale matters. Economies of scale could favor bulk buying for some.
Potentially. And one last thing, supply chains.
Always a factor these days.
especially when you're sourcing lots of different specialized sterile components from potentially all over the world. Any disruption can really impact availability and cost.
Okay, so challenges. Investment and compliance costs, regulatory hurdles, maybe cost issues for smaller players, and supply chain vulnerability. Got it. Now, what about trends? What's emerging?
One really interesting area is technology integration. We're starting to see things like real-time tracking built into the packs.
Tracking, like RFID tags or something?
Sort of, yeah. Systems for better inventory management. Imagine knowing exactly what's been used from a pack, instantly updating hospital stock levels. It points towards a much smarter surgical supply chain in the future.
That sounds incredibly useful, like intelligent kits.
Kind of. And another big trend is adoption in outpatient centers. ASCs, ambulatory surgical centers.
Right, more procedures are moving out of big hospitals.
Exactly. And ASCs are often laser-focused on efficiency and cost. CPPs fit their model really well. So the growth of ASCs as end users is a really key trend to watch.
Interesting. So, not just big hospitals driving this. Okay, let's break down the market structure a bit more. How is it segmented? Who's using what?
The report looks at it a few ways. First, by use outlook. Basically, single-use versus reusable packs.
And which one's winning out?
Single-use is dominant right now
Okay.
by quite a margin.
Why is that?
Mostly infection control concerns, convenience, and those regulations we talked about. Developed markets, high sterility environments, they strongly prefer single-use.
Makes sense given the focus on HAIs. What about reusable then? Do they have a place?
They do. They offer potential cost savings over the long run, and they align better with sustainability goals. You see them more often in developing regions, perhaps where cost is a bigger driver.
But they need proper cleaning and sterilization processes, obviously.
Absolutely. Robust reprocessing is critical for reusable packs.
Okay. Single use for convenience and top-tier sterility, reusable for cost and sustainability where feasible. What's the next breakdown?
By product outlook. This just means the type of surgery the pack is for. Cardiovascular, orthopedic, neurosurgery, ophthalmology, gynecology, general surgery packs, plus an others category for things like cosmetic or urology packs.
Quite a range. Is any one area particularly large?
Yes, the report says cardiovascular surgery packs have the biggest market share currently.
And that probably links back to...
Yeah, likely reflects the high rates of cardiovascular disease globally. Lots of heart-related procedures happening.
Okay, clear link there. And finally, the end users. Who's actually buying and using these packs?
Segmented into hospitals, ambulatory surgical centers,
Okay.
ASCs, and a smaller others group.
And hospitals are the biggest chunk, I assume.
Correct. Hospitals have the largest share. Makes sense given their high patient volumes, the wide range of procedures they do, and the need for some level of standardization.
Right, and those ASCs we mentioned earlier.
They are the fastest growing segment among end users.
Ah, okay, so that trend is showing up in the numbers.
Definitely. The shift towards outpatient surgery, driven by cost and convenience, is boosting demand in ASCs. They love the efficiency CPPs offer. So hospitals are the biggest now, but ASCs are where the really dynamic growth is happening.
Got it. Hospitals dominate, ASCs are catching up fast. Now, let's zoom out. How does this look globally? Big regional differences.
Oh, definitely. Really interesting variations. North America, for instance, had the largest slice of the pie in 2025, over 40% of the market. That's about USD 893 million.
Wow, okay, leader of the pack.
In size, yes. But their projected growth, the CAGR to 2033, is more moderate, around 3.3%. The U.S. is the giant within that, over $2 billion market size in 2025, growing at about 3.1%. Those strict regulations probably play a role in the established nature of the market there.
So big, but maybe maturing slightly. Canada and Mexico growing a bit faster.
Seems that way, yes. Canada projected around 4.1%, CAGR, Mexico 3.8%.
Okay. What about across the pond in Europe?
Europe's also a major player. Over 30% market share. That's a huge number, actually.
Yeah.
Let me check. The report seems to have a typo there for the total value, but it's over 30% share. Their overall CGR is projected at 3.9%.
So similar growth pace to North America, roughly.
A bit faster overall, yeah.
Yeah.
And within Europe, you've got key markets like the UK and Germany showing solid size and growth around 4-something% CAGR. France, Italy, Spain a bit slower, Russia a bit slower still. It varies.
A pretty established market there too then.
Right.
So where's the really rapid growth happening? You mentioned faster growth somewhere.
That would be Asia Pacific, APAC.
Okay.
They hold about 23% share, currently roughly USD 18,077 million in 2025. But their projected TDR is 7.5%. That's the highest globally. by a noticeable margin.
Wow, 7.5%. Which countries are driving that?
China's a huge factor, with a 7.0% CAGR projected. India's even faster, forecast at 9.4% growth. South Korea, Australia, Southeast Asia, generally all showing really strong growth potential well above the global average.
What's fueling that boom in APAC?
It's a combination. Rising healthcare spending, improving hospital infrastructure, more surgeries being performed as access improves. Interestingly, even things like hospital budget constraints in China can push towards standardized packs for efficiency. And in South Korea, the surge in minimally invasive surgery requires more specialized kits.
So if you're watching the future of this market, APAC is definitely the place to look.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That high growth rate in APAC signifies a major shift. It's not just a statistic. It's changing where these tools are made and used on a global scale.
Fascinating. What about the other regions? South America, Middle East, Africa?
South America has over 5% share, growing at a healthy 5.5% CAGR. Brazil's a big part of that, helped by regulations favoring single-use items. Argentina's growth is linked to its aging population.
Okay. And the Middle East and Africa, smaller shares.
Yeah, much smaller for now. Middle East around 2%, Africa around 1% share in 2025. But both are growing respectably, around 5.1% CAGR projected for both regions combined, based on the source values, actually. Saudi Arabia and the UAE are key in the Middle East, showing strong growth. South Africa and Nigeria lead in Africa, with factors like infection control focus in Nigeria playing a role.
So growth is pretty widespread, but the real acceleration is in Asia-Pacific. Now, who are the companies actually making these packs? Big names.
It's definitely a competitive space. You've got the major global healthcare players involved: Medline, Cardinal Health, Owens & Minor, 3M, Moonlight Healthcare. These are the giants with big portfolios and distribution networks.
The usual suspects in medtech, yeah.
Pretty much. But it's not just them. There are also important second and third tier companies, regional specialists too. The report mentions Priontech in South Africa, for example, who've even partnered with charities like Operation Healing Hands. And startups are trying to get into.
So a mix of the big multinationals and smaller, maybe more niche players.
Exactly. It creates quite a dynamic landscape.
Yeah.
The big guys have scale and R&D budgets. The smaller ones might be more agile or focused on specific local needs.
Right. Well, this has been really insightful, a proper deep dive into CPPs. Just to quickly sum up,
Go for it.
we're looking at a significant, growing global market. Key drivers are efficiency needs, the huge push for sterility and preventing infections, plus customization demands. Single-use packs are leading the way. Hospitals use the most packs right now, but those ambulatory surgical centers, the ASCs, are the fastest growing user group.
Spot on.
And regionally, North America is the biggest market today, but Asia Pacific is where the most explosive growth is projected for the next decade or so.
That captures it nicely. It shows how these kits, which might seem simple, are actually tied into so many major healthcare trends.
Definitely. So maybe a final thought for you, our listener, to chew on. As medicine gets more and more specialized and the pressure to improve patient outcomes never stops, how does that going to shape these packs even further?
Yeah, what's next?
What new materials, what new tech integrations, maybe things we haven't even discussed, could really revolutionize these essential tools down the line?
It's a really interesting question to ponder. Where does it go from here?
Absolutely. And if any particular area we touched on, a region, a product type caught your interest, we definitely encourage you to dig deeper, look up more detailed reports, check out the companies we mentioned.
There's always more to learn.
Indeed. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.